He wasn't just any dog. For 4 long years, he had stood at the edge of Pinewood Road near the old oak tree, waiting. Rain, snow, blistering sun, it didn't matter. Every morning he'd trot to that same spot and sit there, eyes scanning every car, every bike, every soul that passed by. His ears perked with each approaching engine. His heart stirred with each silhouette in the distance. But day after day, no one came. His name, though few knew it, was Shadow. He had once belonged to a family who lived in the White House with the red shutters at the end of the lane. A cheerful boy named Liam had named him Shadow because, from the moment they met, the dog never left his side. Shadow had been a birthday surprise. Liam was only 10 then, his cheeks red with excitement as he pulled back the blue ribbon and saw the wiggling pup in a box. From that day on, Liam and Shadow were inseparable. They ran through fields together, explored creeks, and shared secrets whispered in the grass under the stars. But everything changed one gray November afternoon. There was a terrible car accident on the main highway. Liam's parents didn't survive. Liam was injured but lived. With no other close family, he was taken by child services to a foster home in another city. In the chaos, Shadow was left behind. At first, neighbors thought the dog would eventually wander off or be adopted. A few tried to take him in, but Shadow always found his way back to the same spot, by the oak tree at the corner of Pinewood Road, just outside his old home. He waited. Time passed. Seasons changed. The White House was eventually sold to a retired couple who had no interest in dogs. They let the yard grow wild, and the fence fell into disrepair. But still, Shadow never strayed. He lived off the kindness of a few locals. Mrs. Langford, the elderly baker, would leave out scraps by her gate. Young Milo from the gas station would sneak him bits of beef jerky. Others left water bowls or warm blankets when the weather turned. They all cared for him in their own small ways, but no one tried to take him away again. They all saw something in his eyes, a loyalty, a longing that they didn't want to break. Some called him the ghost of Pinewood. Others just called him that loyal dog. But no one really knew his story. One rainy afternoon, a young girl named Sarah sat on her porch with her camera. She had just moved into town with her parents and was trying to capture the soul of Willow Creek for a school project. She had heard the rumors of the waiting German shepherd and decided to see for herself. She found Shadow sitting in his usual spot, soaked from the drizzle but unbothered. His posture was regal, his gaze steady. She took a photo, one that would later go viral, and shared it with the caption, "They say he's been waiting for 4 years in the same spot, for a family who may never come back." Loyalty like this is rare. Shadow the Shepherd. The image spread fast. First the town, then the state, and eventually across the world. People sent messages, food, even offers to adopt him. But Sarah was careful. She didn't want Shadow to be taken by someone who didn't understand. He wasn't lost. He was waiting. And then came the day that changed everything. It was early spring, and Willow Creek was beginning to bloom with soft pinks and greens. The breeze carried the scent of new beginnings. Shadow, now older and grayer around the muzzle, still made his morning walk to the tree, but his steps were slower. His eyes, though watchful, carried a weight. A car pulled up to the edge of Pinewood Road. Not a fancy car, an old, dusty sedan with a dented fender. The engine rumbled to a stop. Shadow's ears twitched. The door opened slowly, and out stepped a young man, tall, slim, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. He looked older than he felt, about 14 or 15 now, his jeans too short and his coat too big. He looked around like someone trying to remember a dream. Shadow stood frozen, every muscle alert. The boy took a shaky step forward and called softly, "Shadow?" The German shepherd didn't move at first. He just stared. "Shadow, it's me. It's Liam." The world seemed to stop. The rain from years ago, the heartbreak, the waiting, all of it held its breath. And then Shadow ran. It wasn't the graceful sprint of a young dog, but it was full of power, of recognition, of love that hadn't faded. He reached Liam with a leap, almost knocking him over, barking, whining, licking his face, burying his head in the boy's chest. Liam dropped to his knees, hugging him, sobbing. "I'm so sorry. I tried to find you. I missed you so much." People came out from their homes. Sarah's family stood silently on their porch. Even the retired couple peeked from their window. For a moment, Willow Creek wasn't just a town. It was a witness to something holy, a miracle. But how did Liam find his way back? And what had kept him from coming sooner? Shadow wouldn't let go. His body was pressed so tightly against Liam's chest that the boy had to sit down on the wet grass, cradling the dog's head in his arms. Shadow's tail wagged furiously, and his chest heaved in short, sharp breaths, like even his body couldn't believe this was real. Liam buried his face into the dog's thick, damp fur. "I never stopped thinking about you," he whispered. "Not once." People nearby had started to gather. Sarah, who'd taken the viral photo, stood silently with her parents, tears in her eyes. Even Mrs. Langford was there, holding a napkin full of pastries in one hand and wiping her cheeks with the other. But no one wanted to interrupt. It was too sacred. It took several long minutes before Liam finally looked up, eyes red but smiling. "Would someone mind telling me how he made it all these years?" Sarah stepped forward. "He never left," she said gently. "He's been here every day. Same spot, same routine. Everyone helped a little, but he never gave up. It was like he was waiting for a promise to be kept." Liam looked down at Shadow and gave a soft laugh, choked by emotion. "Yeah, that sounds like him." He finally stood up, scratching behind Shadow's ears as the dog stuck close to his leg like they'd never been apart. "I owe you all an explanation," Liam said, turning to the quiet crowd. "I didn't know what happened to him. After the accident, I was unconscious for 2 days. By the time I woke up, my whole world had changed." His voice wavered, but he continued. "They told me my parents were gone, that I was going to live with a foster family 3 hours away. I asked about Shadow, but no one seemed to know where he was. They said the house was being sold and he probably ran off. I didn't believe it, but I was just a kid. I didn't have a say." He paused, eyes far away. "My foster homes weren't the best. I moved 3 times in 2 years. No internet, no way to come back. But when I turned 14, I started searching. I posted in forums, looked through adoption records, lost pet pages, and then last week," he smiled at Sarah, "I saw your photo. It was him. I knew it in my bones. I packed a bag and caught a bus. Didn't even ask for permission." There was silence, and then applause. Soft at first, then louder. Not out of celebration, but something deeper. Gratitude, reverence, hope, because something in all of them healed that day. Liam stayed in Willow Creek for a week. He and Shadow were inseparable again. They walked the old trails, visited the creek where Liam used to throw sticks. Shadow's energy, once dulled by time and sorrow, seemed to come back in waves. He was old now, yes, but there was life left in him, and Liam soaked in every second. The townsfolk offered help. Some suggested Liam stay with them. Others made calls to social workers. It turned out that Liam's case was in transition. He'd soon be eligible for independent living through a youth housing program in his original city. Sarah's father, a lawyer, helped fast-track it. Within a month, Liam had a small apartment and a new school, and most importantly, the right to keep Shadow with him. A year later, Shadow was still there, lying under the sun on a small balcony overlooking the park. His muzzle was grayer, and his eyes didn't open as quickly anymore. But he was home. This time, truly home. Liam had framed Sarah's photo on his desk, the one that brought them back together. Underneath, he had written, "Faith waits, love remembers, loyalty never forgets."